Hi, this morning we're going to be doing a real quick and easy pumpkin bunting. Now it can be for Halloween, it can be for fall, you can put some little Halloween faces on perhaps if you're wanting it more Halloweeny, but I think they're just gorgeous autumnal colours. Now my daughter wanted this, so this is actually going to be hers. She's waiting for it at the moment, that's why I'm doing the video so she can have it. But it could not be any easier. So as you can see, I've done a variety of colours. Caught it there. I will explain it as I go along. I have my double knit yarns variations, so I'll tell you why again. I have two different size hooks, which will be explained as we go, my scissors and my needles. So basically, let's get going. So I'm going to move our little bunting here. Yeah, I'll pop it on one side and we will get started. Now I'm going to use the orange one, which is the stronger colour on the set. Now I've used two different brands of yarn. This is a Hayfield, which is not really a brand I've used before. I just saw the colour and it was the colour I went for more than anything else. And the others were Style Crafts. Now just grabbing this back, just thought I'd let you see even. Right, the Hayfield is a double knit, a reasonable size there. But the Stylecraft's smaller. It actually feels thinner when you're working with it. I absolutely adore Stylecraft. I use Stylecraft for an awful lot of products. But to be honest, for this particular project, I think the Hayfield worked better because it's slightly thicker, chunkier. Not much price difference with the yarns. They're still within that sort of budget range. But yes, there is a definite size difference. I actually prefer this, which is surprising for me to say because I'm a big Stylecraft fan, but I did like the Hayfield. So it does depend on what you're using. It's the same with any crochet project. We see a pattern, we do it and wonder why it doesn't come out the same as the other person. Unless you are using exactly the same yarn, exactly the same tension as them, there's always going to be a slight variation. Right, so let me get on with my slip knot. And I am going to be using the 3.5 at this point. It is also going to start, like many of my other projects, sort of very amigurumi-esque, should we speak. Well, for the first 2-3 rounds anyway. So I have it on the hook, not too tight. I'm going to do my 2 chain. And into my 2 chain, I'm going to do 6 double crochets. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Pull it tight so we haven't got that hole in the centre there. That's why it's important to get a real decent slip knot there. Now the next one, we're going to do 2 double crochets into every single one of these 6, giving us 12. If you're not sure on the count from the back only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. It is there. It's something I still do even after all these years, just to double check where I'm going. Depending on the yarn, it sometimes creates a bit of an illusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, just 2 more. And we've got 5. And our last one being 6. So we now have 12 double crochets. So that is our second round. We're going to repeat that second round by doing 2 into every single one. So obviously we have 12 now. If we're going to do 2 in every single one, we're going to end up with 24 stitches. So I can see that one quite obviously this time. So it's 12 stitches that we're wanting with 2 double crochets into each one. 3, 4, 5, 6. You can use a stitch marker, of course, because I must admit sometimes I'm like, well, have I done 5? Have I done 6? I've stopped on 6 deliberately there before I spoke because I know that's where I am. So that's 6. That's halfway. So we've got 7, 8. Just a couple more. And one more. Now the beauty of these is if each one did come out a different size, if you were using different yarns, you could use a chunky, you could use a 4-ply, you can use whatever you want. It will just give you a variation in sizes. And I don't think that matters as long as you balance them out along the actual, let me grab the chain again, along the chain. It's because like with these, because I've got the colours, I decided which my central colour was going to be. So I thought, right, it's going to be the deep orange. Then I went for the lighter orange. Then I went for this nice buttermilky colour. Then I went for the darker one. So it was a case of how I decided to spread out. So if that was a heavier one, obviously I would have that in the middle. But then I might have 2 medium ones. Then I could have 2 heavy ones. Depends on where it's sitting, of course. But make sure you lay them out before we do that final stitch. We've now got one more round. This is the one that's going to give us our little pumpkin shape. We're going to start with just a double crochet. Then we're going to do 2 trebles into each of the next 7 stitches. So remember, a treble, we're wrapping round, we're into the stitch, we pull it through 2, we pull it through 2. We're going to do another one in the same space. So we've got 2 in one space. We're going to do that again. In fact, we're going to do that 7 times. So that's our second one. That's our third. This is what's giving it a little bit of shaping. 5th. Oh, or not. Well, I'm determined not to get that stitch in, am I? That is the 5th. Quite easy to count these though if you lose count. 5th. 6th. Well, I'm determined to drop the stitch this morning, aren't I? What is wrong with me? Right, that is 6. We need one more. And that is our 7th. So it's really pushed out this side. So that's where the shaping goes. The next one, we're going to just do 1 treble into each of the next 3. So it's not quite as pushing it out. So we've got 1. We have 2. And then we have 3. Now when you're doing it, that should be approximately halfway, which it does seem to be about that. We're now going to do double crochets again. Remember, and I am using UK terms here, so we're going to go right down here into a little stitch, pulling it in. So we have 1 and we have 2. I'm just going to check my numbers on that because I did change it. It is 2, yes. So now we have to reverse this back up the other side. So first of all, we have 3 trebles, 1 in each of the next 3. So you can see we get a little bit of a curve there at the bottom. That's what that's about. And you could do them just purely as circles. I've seen some really cute ones like that. There's no reason why not. I've seen some that are a little bit more complicated than this. But I think this is somewhere in the middle anybody can do. The other thing is we had thought about, you know, like I did the others like this. I had thought about doing a bunting with that, but we decided it would sort of stick out too much from the wall. If it was hanging maybe from, can't think of the word, an archway or something like that, they might look quite nice. But just grab them again. But the other thing you have to think about is they can be quite heavy. So I mean, it's surprising how heavy they can get. So if you had 10 of those strung along, you've got to think where they're going. So that's why we decided to do the flat and not the 3D. Right, we need to get back to this. We are now doing our 2 trebles in each one times 7. This again pushes the other side out. That's 1. 2. That's 3. As I said before with the counting, the beauty of this, if you're not sure, you can just sort of spread it a little bit and you go, oh yeah, I've definitely done 2 in that one, so that was okay. So that was 4. This is 5. Told you they were quick. This is the last round, remember. I'm just going to double check my quantity. So I'm going back to where I did the trebles. There was 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. Now these are the 2s. So that's 1 set of 2, 2 set of 2, 3, 4 and 5. I knew I'd not got enough because obviously I'm not back at the beginning. But it's always worth a check. So that is number 6. And this is number 7, so this is our last one. And then our last stitch is just going to be a double crochet. So it brings it back down again. And that's it. I'm going to cut that off. Well, that's it for the pumpkin. We do have to do its stalk and a little curly sort of tendril. Right, so I'm just going to fasten that off now. You can see it's a little bit curly, but you do find flatten it out, or if you're going to be sort of putting some sort of heavy weights on it or something like that, it flattens out nicely. Pop a book on it or something like that, but it does flatten it out nicely. I'm just going to cut those a bit shorter. They do really need to be sewn in. I suppose we could sew it in because it's quite a quick video, this one, and it makes it a little bit neater for you to see. So I'm using my sharp needle rather than the blunt one. I really do need to look for some other needles. I keep saying I'm going to do that because wool needles are just too blunt for me to work with, I find. So I'm just going to thread this around. Just doing it around this inner part where it's a little bit tighter. Because you don't want it to be showing, because it might flip over at some point. So that's that bit done. Last bit at the top. And then we will get the actual stalk done. The stalk will take us literally minutes. In fact, I won't be surprised if it only takes a minute. This is the only problem with the sharp needles. It's hard to get the actual yarn through, but they are worth it, really are. So I'm going to push it through back down to that centre point, because I don't want to thread through these trebles, because I do find they can come out if you thread through trebles. This is why DCs are great, because it's nice and strong to thread your yarn through. So, ta-da! So can you see already it's gone flatter, and I've not really done anything with it. So I'll pop my needle to one side, and we're going to bring in this green. This is quite a dark green. You could use a brown or light green. There is no real sort of preference, because obviously all pumpkins come in different shapes and sizes and colours, and so we can get away with a few things. So I'm going to take my pumpkin now, and you know where we did the first 2 DCs? Well, the last DC was this one, so this is where I'm pushing my hook in. I have my yarn around my hands ready for a normal crochet, and I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to do 1 chain. But then also I'm going to do 1 DC into there, because I don't want it going anywhere. Okay, so that counts as our first DC. I'm now going to do 9 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I called them DCs. They are chains. Of course they are chains. You can see the chains. So excuse me for that. So I did a DC. I did do a double crochet in there. And then I've done 9 chain. Now going to this other side where we did that first double crochet, I'm going to go in there and I'll pull it through, and I am going to do a double crochet. Okay, and then I'm going to do 10 chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have a nice long strand there. This could be longer, this could be shorter, depending on what you're doing. Now into each of those chain, if you've seen my other pumpkin video, you will have seen what I've done with this. I'm just going to do 3 double crochets into each single one of them. So it's 2, 3. Get the next one. Let me check I'm on video properly there. I am. 1, 2, and 3. This is going to create obviously 30 stitches approximately, but you don't really need to count, it doesn't matter. I think on a couple of them that I did, in fact I'm not so sure I didn't do it then, I've only actually done 2 double crochets into a couple of spaces. The 3 is better because it does force it to curl. 2 would leave it a little bit flat. As it curls, it does get a little bit difficult to hold on to, but we're nearly there. There's only a couple anyway. Told you it didn't take long though, this bit. The longest bit is actually making all of them, depending on how big your garland's going to be. But I did find it quite quick to do, Charlotte, so I was really pleased with that. So I'm going to make this the last one. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And all I'm going to do is snip and fasten off. Right, I'm going to show you the sewing bit up of, can't speak now, sewing up bit of this, because it's amazing how sewing up can change the structure of what your work is. So I'm going to take the one where we started with first, and I want to bring those two sort of chain areas a little bit closer together. So by doing that, I can just manipulate it. So what I'm going to do is with the needle and thread, I'm going to go through one side and through the other side. Yep, we're going to pull it through, and it just instantly brings it together and makes it a little bit neater. I'm going to go through one more because I need to tie a little knot. Make sure it's nice and tight. I am then, because obviously I can't thread it through this, so this is a little bit hard to find somewhere to thread it through, so I'm going to have to try and thread it through this little piece we've just done, just a little way. Just trim that one off, and we have our last little bit just to get rid of. And this one I am just literally going to thread through the little curly bit, because they are double crochets after all, so they're quite tight. It's hard to straighten them though, but you can see them there. So I'm just going to run them along the double crochets to make sure they don't go anywhere. I'll say that's it. Trim, trim. And we have a curly frond. Give it a little stretch because they do stay rather curly. And we have a little stalk. Now the actual putting it onto a chain, there are different ways. You could have a ribbon, you could have a piece of rope, you could just use, you know, little tiny pegs to pin them onto a piece of string, which would be quite cool. But what I actually did is I decided to make it purely crochet, but I didn't want just a piece of yarn to do it. I wanted it thicker, so I introduced this one as well. This is a variegated yarn, still a double knit. Let's find the end. That's the only thing when you've done it like that, you can never find the end. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the two together. Easy enough job to do. So it'll create probably the equivalent to an Aran weight. Again, if you've got a nice chunky yarn, that would be quite a nice way of doing it. But I didn't have the colours I wanted, so I've just brought the two threads together. And because one's variegated and one's not, it gives quite a nice effect. And you see how you get a mottled effect. And I thought that was quite nice, so a little bit more sort of plant base. So I've taken the two pieces. I'm making my slip knot. Careful they do both stay together. And this is the reason I have the larger hook. So I've been using 3.5 for this one. I'm using a 4 for this one. So we'll pop it on. Undo the yarn a little bit. I sometimes prefer to have them in two separate bags so they don't get tangled, but for what I'm doing now, it won't matter. So, chain. We've all done a chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to just do 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because this is going to be very personal from where you want to hang it to where it's going to sit in your home. So you may need it really long here, but they're only chains, so you can make them as long or as short as you want. I just want to show you how I actually attached my pumpkin. So I've done 10. I took my pumpkin because I thought, well, not everybody likes sewing things up, do they? So let's try and just crochet it on. So I literally just went through, pulled my yarn through and crocheted it. That is it. I'll do that once more. So there we go, the little stalky loop, which as I said could be pinned on another way, but this is just my choice. So I went in, grabbed the yarn, pulled it through and finished the chain. So it's like a double crochet there. Last time for that one. So it went through, we pulled it through, so it's a double crochet really, and finished it off. Then we went off with our chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do the amount I did with mine. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Now that's the amount. I decided 15 sat well it's all twisted now, sat well between the two pumpkins. So that is why I did that. So mine's a lot longer than here. Mine's about 30, 35 because I want to hang it up. And then just 15 chain. So double crochet into the top of this, then 15 chain, then I would double crochet my next one, 15 chain, double crochet in the next one, and so on. But basically, how quick and easy is that? I mean, I know when I said my daughter doesn't really crochet, she can crochet, but she chooses not to. And when I'd finished making it, I said to her, I said, you could have done this. So knowing her, because she loves pumpkins, so she'll probably end up doing some anyway. But any beginner can do this. There is just 4 rounds to the pumpkin, little swirly bit, and chain. How easy is that? Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you have a go at making it. I hope I'd see some pumpkins around people's houses. I'm sure that would look fabulous. Again, it doesn't have to be for Halloween. It can be for fall. They're just autumn colours. They're just beautiful colours this time of the year here in the UK. Although we've got quite a lot of green at the moment, there doesn't seem to be much sort of leaf dropping. Not as much as I would have expected. But I think we've had a very wet year, and I think that's probably what's done it. So, hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe and share, please. I would love other people to see what I am doing as well. And thank you for supporting me, and thank you for watching. And don't forget the notification button for my next video. So see you soon. Bye.